and welcome back to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Hi, and welcome to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Today we're going to do something entirely different than we've been doing on this quilt project, because I want to see just what other techniques will come together to put this project together and see how different techniques compare to what we've been doing. Now, we've been making the pieces for the applique out of the heat-proof mylar, if I can get my words together tonight, and that has worked really well. But all things considered, it is more of a pricier material to work with. I think it was either $10 or $12 for the pack of 4 letter-size sheets. So if you had a huge project or you had a lot of different pieces, and frankly this one was a good number of pieces, the only good thing is there were mirror images, so you could use some of those pieces more than once. But we're going to try something new, and I've seen other people do this. I don't know how successful it's going to be, so we're just going to give it a shot and see what happens. There are 3 leaves on the very side of the pattern here, and those are the 3 that we're going to be working on. Excuse my table. I'm doing several things for several different projects, and I didn't really have a chance to get it cleaned off, but I'm guessing that you experience that from time to time as well. Okay, and there it goes. Let's turn it up all the way. I've got 2 layers of freezer paper that are just lightly taped here on top of those 3 leaves. And I'm going to use a soft, blunt pencil to trace this on the paper side of the freezer paper. And I've doubled it over. And I'm using a blunt pencil because I don't want to make an impression on the light box. If you were using a piece of glass over a light, you wouldn't have to worry about this, but this is plastic. And I'm going to draw these pieces on the inside of that template for the leaf. And the reason I'm going to draw it on the inside is because this pattern is getting a little busy in that some of the pieces are getting really close together. And by cutting them just a tad smaller, and when I say tad, I really do mean tad, because it's just the inside of the line, not the outside of the line. So you're talking about maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So not a lot of difference, but just a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to mark those 5, 6, and 7. All right, so that was easy enough. And then I think what I'm going to do, just to make it even easier for us, let me take a moment to neatly put that aside, is to make it easier for us, I am going to turn this light box back on and use it's been a little temperamental today, use the light box to trace these again instead of just cutting them out. Now this time we're going to draw right on the line. Be patient with me just a second. This is going to come together really quickly. But I draw better when I'm paying attention. And on the pattern they're marked L, 5, 6, and 7. And on my pieces I marked 1 is L and 1 is R. I don't think it makes much of a difference because they're the same from right to left. Now, what we're going to do is I think I'm going to cut this in half. And instead of fighting that tape, I'm just going to cut the taped pieces off. I've got my little mini iron heating up over to the side. Now, I'm going to fold this in. And crease it. I'm going to fold this in and crease it. So now we've got 2 layers, and I'm just going to cut those out quickly. And this is going to be right on the line or just to the inside of the line. Either way you choose to do it would be fine. Now on the freezer paper, there's a shiny side and there is a paper side. If you've ever used freezer paper for its intended purpose, you wrap up your food in it with the shiny side being close to the food and the paper side being on the outside. You can write on that paper side, and the shiny side is, I would say, mostly water resistant. I'm not sure it's waterproof because if you get the paper side, it's going to come through. But if you're freezing something that's mostly solid and has some liquids like some meat or something like that, it's going to hold it for you. That's its intended purpose. And what was discovered, having some problems managing my stuff back there, what was discovered was you could use that shiny side of the freezer paper to stick things to. I think it's some type of coating. I'm not sure it's a wax, but it could have some property similar to wax. And let's see. 2 of these are very, very similar. But not quite the same. I probably should have marked them. Oh, and I see what the problem is. Because of the way it's folded, they're not going to be exactly... They were folded with the shiny sides together, like right sides together, and when you take them apart and you want to lay them right side up and right side up, they're that mirror images again. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the other set and pair them up. That seems rather confusing. If it's too confusing for you, just cut them out separately. It's not like it's something big and intricate that's going to take a long time. So I think you'll be fine. And the other option is that you could just, in fact, I think we'll do that with this last one. Plastic side down, shiny side, second sheet, shiny side down. And we're going to run the iron over it. And what we've discovered is they stick together. So now when you cut, you're cutting both. That's probably the way we should have done it. And frankly, that may be the way I finish up. Now I'm going to gather some green fabric. And we've got these leaves that go in the upper part. I see I'm missing one. It's kind of been the story of my life this week. Too many things going on. So we have the darkest green, and then we have the 2 lighter greens. Looking for a color picture. Okay, it looks like we have the darkest green as the middle leaf and then the lighter green inside. And we have some freedom here because this is our project. We've used the dark plus sign a good little bit, and these leaves are going to be the dark. So I'm going to suggest that we use the swirl fabric for the middle leaves, and then the little polka dot, the light green, for the other two. So the middle leaf was the number, I'm so sorry, 6. I'm not as well prepared tonight as I probably should be, but I'm trying to get a video in midweek so we can continue to make progress on this. These are my paper scissors. Let's get some cloth scissors. And we're just going to try one. Let's just try one and see what happens. Because we may find that it's just not, it just doesn't work very well. I don't know. Okay, we've sewn that on. Now we're going to take the shiny side and we're going to put it down to the fabric. And we're going to sew it on. We're going to iron it on so that the shiny side adheres to the fabric. Now we've got the seam allowance on the outside. We're going to try this without using any starch. The advantage of this is that because that freezer paper is adhered to the fabric, it will stay in place. So we should be able to iron it and get some nice folds. The question will be, once we take that paper out, will it stay? The iron is up on hot. There's no steam because there's no starch. It's working reasonably well. Gather up there a little bit on the end. Okay, we're going to pull that tight on the corner and then work our way down, pulling it in. I'm going to leave a little tail on one end of this. Okay, my verdict is it's not holding very well. So let's see if we can do just a little bit of starch at the ends. And then a little bit coming down the side. This is not anywhere as near as much starch as we have been using. And you can hear that sizzle. Big difference. I tell you, it is easier to work with when that template is adhered to the fabric. It doesn't want to slip and slide on you. Still having a little difficulty getting a really sharp point on the ends, which is a little disappointing because in using a little bit bigger leaf pattern, I did not have that problem on a past project. But there you go. That's not too bad. I think it might require a little bit of adjustment when we sew it on. But as far as technique goes, that's not bad. It uses a lot less starch. You could use the method with the spray starch. That would be even faster. And then when you got ready, you would just take that paper out. Very easy. And then a quick press back in place. So very fast, very easy, very cheap. I would think that maybe you could get 2 or 3 uses from each piece. I'm not really sure, but you could give it a try and see what you could come up with. Okay, there's one other thing I want to try tonight. I'm going to leave that on because I'm going to try to get the rest of these pieces together. Whoops. Oops, I'm losing my pieces. Ah. Okay, so then we'll do 1 more of these and then 2 for each side out of this fabric. The other thing I wanted to try was the applique glue. Now, the way I've been putting these pieces onto the background is by pinning them on and then sewing them on. But I wanted to try the glue and see how well that worked. So let me just clear a little bit of space here. Running out of room. Let's see if that'll stay there. There's our glue. Put these little pieces over here. We might need that to open it. What I got was the Roxanne glue basted. Now, the problem I found was I couldn't find anybody locally who sold this. I wasn't able to go to a quilt store, but I did try Joann's, Hobby Lobby, and Michael's, and nobody carried it. They could order it, they would have it in a few days. I ended up ordering this from Amazon, of course, because they had the fastest delivery. I think it was about $12. There's 2 ounces, and it comes in a little bag. And what do you get here? Okay, you get the bottle of glue. You get what looks like one of the little gizmos that holds the tag on your clothes. I bet that's for cleaning out your spouts. Seems to fit, so I bet that's exactly what it is. Then you get 2 different applicators. One's a little longer, and you get some kind of little stopper here, presumably to keep your glue from drying out. What you don't get is many instructions. And it says 100% water soluble, pH neutral, draws clear and flexible. Instead of pinning, glue-based your applique work, quilt pieces, bindings, and hems. Apply tiny glue drops with the enclosed 1 or 1.5 inch syringe tips. Glue becomes tacky immediately, dries in 3 to 5 minutes, holds firmly until moistened or washed out with soapy water, even after ironing. Now, I did hear that you could dry it very quickly with ironing. Says about the same thing on the back. It doesn't say to shake it, but I don't think it will hurt. Now, don't think me weird. It really doesn't have a smell. It smells a little bit like Elmer's glue, to be honest with you. And I think we're going to try the longer one. Oh, I see. These are interchangeable. The little pink thing goes there. So we're going to put this here and put the little lid back on it. And we're going to put these pieces back in here so we don't lose them. Now I'm going to get my background set up and we will glue some pieces on. Okay, those are all glued back on, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the two pieces that go on this side. I think it's that one. It's amazing how they stick to you and then you can't find them. Nope, this one. This is this one. It's just not. Okay, there we go. So now we know where it is. I'm going to use my little disappearing marker, my water-soluble marker, just to put some little dots at the edge of the leaves. This is my first time with this. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to find out together. And we'll use the back of this paper. There we go, little tiny drops. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a little drop at the end. And this is definitely something I need to do earlier in the day, because the squeezing and the getting the very precise are a little tricky for me. Okay, so now we're going to place that right where it needs to go, and I'm going to give it a little press. And then we're going to do the other one. I tell you, I would advise you to not do what I'm doing, and that is gluing it on top of the design. I just realized that. I think I would put the glue on somewhere else and then put it on the... Okay. Then we'll put that one in place. Now, we can either let it dry by hand, or they do say you can touch it with the iron. But we don't want to iron either on the light box or on the cutting mat, because once you warp the cutting mat, it's kind of iffy if it will recover. So I've got a notebook here. We're just going to slip that underneath. I could also put my ironing pad on that as well. And I am literally just going to touch it a couple of times. And it's pretty much stuck on there. I'm pretty impressed. I'll turn that up so you can see it. You see how those leaves right there? Now, I'm not real crazy about how close they are to each other, but that's where the pattern shows them. So we're just going to go with it and sew it on. I think they'll be fine. But yeah, I like this. It's a great little tool, and it seems to work really well. Now, what I don't know is, should I clean it out? Should I just put the little red tip on it? I don't know. So for right now, I'm just going to put the little red tip on it, and I'm going to do a little research and find out how you store this in between. Probably for somebody who's going to use it a lot and frequently, it probably doesn't matter. I'm going to probably use this based on what I'm seeing right here to do all of the leaves up here that we have left. So if I get some more information, I'll put a little block or something with that in there. But tonight we've used the freezer paper as our template paper, and that worked pretty well. We still found that, or I found that I needed to use a little bit of starch to hold the pressing in place. But I really like this freezer paper better than the plastic templates. Now, that being said, if you had something you were using over and over and over and over, there would definitely be a benefit for that template paper because it's plastic and it's going to hold its shape and you're going to get many more uses out of it. And then the second thing we tried was the glue basting. So far I love it. I'm going to go stitch at least these two, probably the other two. Look, there's my other one. I'm going to glue these down and we're going to stitch those 4 on tonight and see what happens. Join me next time. I don't think I have any more tricks to try on this particular project, but it's been kind of fun learning something new, and I hope it's been fun for you and very informative. If you have a trick for the glue basting or the freezer paper, leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, have a great week. We'll see you back at the Shamrock Quilt Studio.